Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to this training. Welcome, everybody online. Introductions really quick. My name is Rachel Monongo, and I am part of the communications team for UIT. And my role is to deliver communications, obviously. And I do a lot of campus readiness. I work closely with project teams, so I help the campus get prepared for ServiceNow and knowledge management. And I am by Bart Haas. So, hello, I'm Bart Haas, and I've met several of you, you guys not, but I was brought on board a few months back to help manage the day-to-day process in knowledge. So I've been working with the ServiceNow project team, and also for the August release, I will be the knowledge base manager for the knowledge base that's rolling out. And as we go on through this training, feel free to just interrupt if you have questions. And online too, Fahamna is running the Blue Jeans connection, so she's going to relay questions and comments from that audience. And we're lucky enough to have a lot of project team members and process owners in here. And yeah, so we have a lot of experts in the room if you have questions. So let's go ahead and get started. Some context and key dates. Back in February, we we went live with incident and request light management for UIT services provided to the hospital. So there is a ServiceNow instance that is live at the moment, and a lot of you were actually in training for that. So this is not going to be new to you. It's going to look a little bit different because that was in the Fuji environment, and now we're going to be in, I believe, Helsinki. So it looks a little bit different, and it's easier to get around, actually. So starting in July 18th and happening now through August 4th, we've had our user acceptance testing. This is for problem change and knowledge management. And then today and yesterday is our knowledge management training. And starting August 1st, this Monday, running through the course of August, we have several training sessions for problem change in JIRA. So if you have a role in problem management, change management, and JIRA with software development lifecycle, you need to sign up for training if you haven't already. If you don't know anything about that training, if you haven't seen an email go out, please talk to me after this session today. And then August 18th is the go live for problem change in JIRA and knowledge. And then in December, the client portal will go live. The mobile application and incident and non-billable requests, all client-facing and internal knowledge articles will be live too. So right now, knowledge is going to go live on the 18th, but it's all internal. It's UIT only. Just a quick overview. This first part, I'm just going to introduce ServiceNow, the interface to you, show you around the navigation. Most of you have probably seen this and are familiar with it, but some of you, this is brand new, seeing ServiceNow. So we're going to go over that for the first 15, 30 minutes, and then the second part, we're going to dive more into the knowledge management application and process. So just a little bit of background about the roles in ServiceNow. End users, that's obviously all of us and everybody who accesses self-service. These will be also the people who access the portal when it's live. They don't have license to access the system as the fulfillers do. And all of you in this room should be fulfillers. That's why you should be seeing the same thing that I was showing on my screen earlier. Approvers, they have the authority to approve requests that are sent to them. And then administrators, they're people like Greg, who can make system-wide changes. So your role in the system will dictate what you're able to see when you log in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the live version of ServiceNow. You should be able to see something like this. If not, we'll get you set up. But this is basically what you can expect to see on the 18th when we go live. This is ServiceNow interface. This is the banner frame. Over here on the left is the application navigator. This is where all your work begins. And here in the content frame is displays whatever you have open at the time. Up here in the banner frame, you'll see your settings and your profile. Under your settings, you can make just general default settings just to change the way you want your content to appear. You can change your theme. We have much better theme selection than we did in Fuji. And then how you want your forms to display. If you pop over to this question mark, this links out to ServiceNow documentation. This is a great resource. It links to their knowledge bases, so you can, if you ever get stuck on ServiceNow terminology or how to do something, I recommend that you click over to this and search it really quick. And then your global search is up here too, which we'll talk more about later, but this is a pretty powerful feature. Over here in your application navigator, this is where you'll see applications and modules, and those are the two terms that you'll hear about probably the most often through this presentation. An application are these in the dark gray bars. They're basically your process areas. And then everything underneath the application, so this is the knowledge application, are modules, and these were specifically customized for this application. Your modules are where all your work gets started. So you'll see links to lists of records and forms, and you're able to view pages all from under the applications when you click on the modules. The filter navigator just filters through the application navigator. So if you were to pull up anything that has to do with knowledge, you could just type in knowledge, and it goes ahead and pulls up your knowledge approvals, anything to do with knowledge. And this is helpful because once you have several applications open, it gets really long and hard to navigate. You can also, you notice when you hover over it, this is just like Office 365, you see these stars. You can favorite different modules and applications, or you can completely favorite an entire application. And when you favorite them, they pop over to here, to this Favorites tab, and it's easier to get to them. So I can open that up, and I have all my applications, or all my modules for the knowledge application. ServiceNow is set up so that you can personalize your list. And there's two basic content types that you'll see across all the applications. You'll see lists, which look like this. And this is the list navigator. Right now it's not showing everything I have on this page, but it basically looks like this. And then you'll see forms. But just to show you how you can personalize a list, over here you have all the columns. These are the default columns. If you are missing a column that you want to see, you can go to this gear icon, and you can add a column. So if I wanted to see all knowledge articles that were, let's see, if I wanted to see the view count, I can go ahead and choose that, pop it over, it up, and it personalized this list with the view count. And I know this is a personalized list because it has this blue dot over here on this gear icon. And it'll stay like that across all the lists in my knowledge application unless I choose to restore to default settings. So I can go back over here and reset column defaults. and now it's back to normal. And I can get it around from page to page through this list navigator. I can also search within this particular list that's being displayed up here in the go-to search. This menu has all of the column headers, or I can pop open this magnifying glass and I can search each individual column. And I can also build a filter by popping this icon open and choosing my condition. So if I wanted to search this list and build a condition, I can say I want the author to be me, and I want them to be created this week, and let's say I want the views count to be greater than, probably don't have a lot of view counts, but greater than 1. And I can run that. Oops. So that didn't work, but what I built here is, this is called the breadcrumb. And this is the string of search criteria that I built. When you hover over it, you can actually remove the condition when you hover over the caret. So let's say if I remove that, now it's showing all the articles that I created this week. And if I wanted to save this filter, I can go ahead and go back up to this icon and click Save. And I can name it my article this week. Save. And any saved filters go up here under this filter list. Another option, if I want to make this list easy to go to, I can go over to my favorite tab over here, and I can take this breadcrumb, and starting with the very last search criteria, I can click and drag and create a bookmark. So this is helpful if you build a very specific filter that you don't want to build every single time, but you need to access that list. And right now it has this long, ugly name, but what you can do is go to Edit Favorites down here. It's kind of hard to see. And you can rename it My Article This Week. And you can change the color and the icon, and you're done. And it's always here in this Favorite tab until you choose to remove it. Another thing about bookmarks is whenever you see in your list an underlined a link, it's a reference link. These are all referencing different records. So this is referencing a knowledge record. This is referencing this specific knowledge base, and then I can go to my user record or the owner group record. Whenever you see these, they're clickable and they click the outside record. You can also drag it over to your bookmarks tab. If you need to get to that record or a specific user profile, you can save it as a favorite. So just a few tricks and tips to get around and hopefully make your day-to-day life easier when you work in ServiceNow. And then real quickly, I'm just going to show you what a form looks like. A form looks pretty standard across all the applications. If I were to, actually, let me step out of knowledge and go to something else. Go to change. If I were to go to a change form, it looks something like this. Hold up. This top section shows specific fields that you want to try to fill out in order because it's dynamic. So when you populate a field, the rest of the form could change or auto-populate. Every time you see a red star, that means it's a required field, and you need to fill that field out in order to save. If you see a grayed out star, that means that field is required, but it was saved already. In the middle section, you'll see different tabs, and you'll see this across change and problem and incident management. And this, let me actually go to a form that's already filled out. So let me go to draft. Okay. This is a knowledge draft, but I wanted to go to a form that is already partially filled out. Down here in this section, you'll see related links, and these have independent records from the form that you're filling out, but they are related to the form you're filling out. So you could have, if you were filling out an incident form, at the very bottom, you could have a tab about that user that you're filling the incident form for, and it'll have all related records to that user. They called in this many times, they made this many requests. So down here it shows, it would show your approval, workflow, or anything related to this specific knowledge article. Okay, so that's just the basic overview of the ServiceNow interface. It's pretty easy to get around, and I think it's pretty easy to learn. So if anybody have any questions about where to find something or where to go, we'll jump into the knowledge management portion now.
Is there a quick keyboard command or a list of the keyboard commands?
Actually, I don't know the answers to that, but I do know that, and I should have mentioned this too, that there's that the right-click function is pretty much available in all of the columns that you can click on, and they give you the commands there. But let's search that really quick. Keyboard commands. Okay, so there's a documentation in the ServiceNow wiki for that. But that's a good question. Okay, I'm going to jump back over here. All right, so we're going to jump into knowledge management, and what we're going to do here is have Barb give you the process overview, and then we're going to talk about using knowledge in the ServiceNow environment, and that'll be more of a live demo. And then the last 30 minutes we'll have labs, we'll have exercises for you guys to actually get in there and do this yourself. So. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Barb.
Hi. Okay, so I know a few of you are aware of the knowledge management process, and again, some of this is new to many of you. The knowledge management process, what we wanted to do is to have a process that allows us to store, capture, and share the knowledge that we have within the university, across support teams, and provide that knowledge to our end users. And this allows us to capture both the explicit knowledge and the tacit knowledge that we typically keep stored inside of our heads. So in the knowledge management process, there are several roles, and the top two, process owner, process manager, those are more of the process, handling the day-to-day, the senior leader who's responsible for the process. And then the other roles are sort of contributors or participants in the knowledge management process. So service desk agents, end users, subject matter experts, and contributors, they're all going to be searching and using the knowledge base. And then contributors, subject matter experts, and service desk agents could all be actually creating documentation. And then the knowledge contributor and the knowledge manager, those are sort of our checkpoint, knowledge coordinator and knowledge manager, those are sort of our checkpoints. So the knowledge coordinator, which is also referred to as an assignment group manager, reviews the article for integrity and then passes it on to the knowledge manager. And the knowledge manager will have final review of the knowledge article before it's published. At that point, the knowledge manager does also have an option to send to the service manager for a technical review if they wanted to prior to publishing. So we'll go through this, and I'll show you where each of these roles play a part in the approval process in just a minute. So as the knowledge management process, we're going, as a high-level overview, we're going to submit the content and then use the content, searching for the documentation that we need, comment on it, provide feedback, and then transfer the knowledge and to all of our end users and our support groups. So with that, when documentation needs to be created, or documented in the ServiceNow knowledge base, we're going to create a new knowledge article and then route that for publication approval. And that will be part of the approval process, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. Once the article is published, the end users and the contributors could all provide feedback on the knowledge article by commenting, flagging it, rating it, and Rachel's going to demonstrate that a little bit later on how we're going to do that. Also, once it is published, the knowledge article by default is valid for 2 years, and this is, of course, a field that can be changed. If you don't like the default of 2 years, you can alter your documentation to be 1 year or 6 months or however long you want the valid to be. And the valid to field is important because it allows us to have that review cycle so that we can go back and check each of our knowledge articles to make sure that the information is still up to date. And if it's not, then we can remove it from publication by retiring the document. So this is the approval workflow as it sits. So the knowledge contributor is the person who submits the knowledge article and then sends it for approval to be published. Once the first step in the process, once the contributor submits the knowledge article, it goes to the assignment group manager, or also known as the knowledge coordinator, and that person reviews the documentation and then sends it on to the knowledge manager for final approval. And again, at this point, the knowledge manager could go ahead and publish the knowledge article, or they have the option to send it to the service manager for technical review. If the service manager does do the technical review, it will go back to the knowledge manager for final approval before it is published. So once the information, the knowledge articles are all published in the knowledge base, we're going to be using that knowledge to help us on a daily basis. We can search for the knowledge documentation through the service desk, through incident forms. We can also search for it through the service self-service portal, which will be going live in December. And then we can also use the documentation to create processes for each of our applications, so incident, problem, change, and request. So when you're creating a knowledge article, it's really important that you understand your intended audience. So for the August Go Live, we have 4 knowledge bases that are currently set up. And as you can see, if your intended audience is to reach everybody, you will put your knowledge article that you created in the public knowledge base. And then if your knowledge article that you are submitting is more for your department, you would go to the smaller bucket and put your knowledge article in the UIT knowledge base, or whatever department your department has a need for that knowledge base. So there are 4 different buckets, as you can see. So you can categorize the first 2 as sort of external. So this IT knowledge, you have to be web authenticated in order to access, and then public is visible to everybody, where the 2 smaller buckets are more for ITIL users, internal departments.
You say everybody, does that include non-Stanford?
The public?
I mean,
yes.
The true public?
Yes.
Are those Google searchable?
Yes, the public will be. And then the last piece is to kind of gauge how our knowledge base is doing. So through reports and metrics, we're able to analyze and identify some knowledge gaps, and this will help us with incident deflection, and will also help us to transfer more of our knowledge to our end users so that they can help themselves. And so from here, I'm going to go ahead and hand off to Rachel, And she's going to go through the actual knowledge management application in ServiceNow and give you a quick demo.
Thank you. Before I jump into the live version, I just wanted to show you around the knowledge homepage. So, like Barb said, when we go live on August 18th, there's going to be 4 knowledge bases set up. And the version I'm going to show you in the test environment isn't going to show this exactly. There's actually an extra knowledge bucket in there that we need to take down. But and you may not be able to see this knowledge base. So I know I can't, but right now the 3 that we'll be referring to are these first 3. Number 1 up there, you can search all knowledge bases, or you can choose to search a specific knowledge base. And then over there in the corner, that's where you can either create a new article or create a question. We'll talk about that when I show you in the live version. You can also import knowledge. And then the home button just brings you back to the knowledge homepage. And then this section down here, this basically most viewed and most useful is the system automatically generates based on what users have rated, what articles users have rated as helpful or they've given the most views to. And then the featured content, as fulfillers, we don't have access to pin anything here. The knowledge managers, however, can pin specific articles there. So, for example, if the service desk is getting a lot of calls about a specific incident, this is just another way for incident deflection. There's a knowledge article that could address that incident, and the knowledge manager can go ahead and pin that article up there so that fulfillers see it right away when they go to the knowledge homepage. Okay, let's jump into the live version. And over here, again, this is where all your application processes are. So I'm going to go to knowledge, and I know that I favorited it already, so I'm going to go over here to my knowledge homepage. So these are the knowledge bases I was talking about. This you won't see on August 18th. And right now I can't see the UIT knowledge base that was shown on the screenshot earlier. Let me check over here. We're going to jump into creating a new article and just walk through that process and then the approval workflow. So you can create a new article in a few different ways. You can either go to this Create New module over here, or you can go to this Create New button in the corner. And then the 2 other ways are creating a new knowledge article from an incident record, and the other way is from a problem record. But we're not going to cover those 2 today. Problem we'll cover in the problem training, and then incident will be in the training leading up to the December release. So we're going to start by creating a new article right here, and here's the new record form. It automatically defaults to the IT knowledge base, but you can change that knowledge base. Whenever you see these magnifying glasses next to a field, it's a lookup list. So if you don't know what exactly to type in that field, go ahead and use the lookup list. But before you do that, make sure your field is empty. So I'm going to click this lookup list, and it's pulling up these knowledge bases that are available to me. So I'm going to choose IT knowledge, and I'm going to go down and fill in the fields that I know are required. So affected CI. Affected CI is configuration item, but it's basically a service offering. So I'm going to search for an affected CI, and we'll go ahead and let's choose box this time. Okay, and then this is the published and valid to dates that are editable. You can change the valid to dates. It defaults to 2 years, just like Barb said. Yeah.
So the affected CI dating, is it possible for you to mention changing? CI means you think they use it?
I'm going to defer to one of the
It's kind of out-of-the-box functionality across the board for all the different modules.
I think we're going to get used to it really quick.
Right. No, I'm sure they will.
You'll actually see when you pop it open. Let me erase this again.
It's also
It
kind of,
says service
we're trying to stay
offering.
with the standard
No, it
ITIL
doesn't.
naming stuff.
Okay. Okay, so you can change the valid to date. It defaults to 2 years. If you were working on, say, a project where the knowledge article needed to be retired sooner, then of course you can change the valid to date. It defaults to draft workflow, and then you would choose an owner group. I'm going to choose the group that I'm a part of, which is UIT Communications. And before I type in a short description, let me close this. I want to choose a template. You don't have to do this, but there are going to be templates available for your knowledge article. And you can see that by going up to this 3-dot menu over here and toggling on your template bar. So it pops up down here. It's kind of hard to see, but you can choose one of these templates. So I'm going to choose a how-to template. And it's just a guide. It helps you fill in certain sections of your knowledge article. And the reason why I chose a template first is because if I had something entered in the short description, it would erase that already. So I chose a template first, and I'm going to go in and fill out my short description. So the short description is actually going to be the title of the knowledge article. So it's pretty important that you choose a descriptive title because that's weighted in the search. So I'm going to say, how to increase my storage, because I had that question recently with Fox. And then I'm going to jump down here to this meta field. This is another significant field. You want to be descriptive in this because this is also weighted with the search. Whenever someone is typing and is searching knowledge bases or searching in the self portal, it'll pull from what you've entered in the meta, the tags that you've entered there, and also the title of the article. So if you have something like acronyms or phrases or things that you think keywords that you think people will be searching, it's important you put that in the meta field. All words need to be separated by commas, and all phrases need to be separated by underscores. So let's say I put in storage. Let's say I put in, I don't need more space. There. My phrase needed to be separated by underscores, so try to remember that when you're creating a knowledge article. And I'm going to go ahead and fill out just a portion of this knowledge article. Increase your box storage by, don't have the answer to that. So for the sake of an example, we'll go ahead and save this. Okay, so if you click save, it saves what you have filled in and it stays on that record. If you click save and exit, it'll save and exit you back out to the knowledge list articles. So I'm going to click save. I saved it, but it did not submit to the next level of approval yet. What it did was stay in draft workflow. So I can still work on this. I can go away and come back and work on this draft. Now I see a publish button. Just because it says publish doesn't mean that it's going to be published. When you click publish, it actually goes to the approver, which is your group manager. So I just sent it on to the approver, and I can check to see who the approver is if I go back into this knowledge article that I just created, and I go down here to this approvals tab. and it's in requested state, and my approver is James Knox. I have no idea who that guy is. So I can see that, let me go back out to this knowledge list. I can see that it was in draft workflow, and now it's in review workflow. I can also look at all the knowledge articles that I created if I go over to my articles. And those are all my knowledge articles and the different workflow stages that they're in. What I'm going to do now is impersonate James Knox so that I can approve this article.
Very good.
So, I know I'm a lot shorter and my voice is in its teeth, and I don't go to the gym every day. So, you guys won't be able to do this with your access, but I just want to show you the approval workflow. All right, so now I'm Jim, and I want to go approve that knowledge article. I have to go over here to my approval. And if you're a manager, then you probably already have approval access. So later on in the exercises, that is something that you could try out. You can log in and see if you have anything in your approvals queue. So I'm going to go over to my knowledge approval. And I'm going to look for that specific knowledge article. I don't see, oh, there it is. Is that the one? Let's see. There it is. Okay. Here's the knowledge article that needs to be approved. And the practice that we're encouraging is that the approver actually goes down here and clicks on requested. So clicks on the state itself. And here is where they can do one of three things. They can approve, they can reject and send back with comments, or they can delegate another approver. And this would have to be somebody in that work group. So if Jim needed to delegate another approver, well, it wouldn't be Linda because she's actually a knowledge manager. But if he wanted to delegate another approver, this is where he would enter the name. And then it would change on the approver's list. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this as Jim. And down here, it's showing the state has changed. Jim's approved it, and now it's requested from either Barb or Linda, because these are the two knowledge managers we have in the system right now. Linda probably has a humongous queue right now because her name was in the UAT. So the next step in the approval workflow is for the knowledge manager to approve. And once the knowledge manager approves, it's published. So it's not as long of a process as it seems like. But I'm going to go in and impersonate Barb now. I'm going to go to My Knowledge Approvals, and I'm going to look for the article from Jim. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. Actually, this is not the article. Let me go back. Did I click the wrong one? Okay, so it's the same process. Barb would go down here to the Approvals tab, and she would click on the state next to her name to view the knowledge article, and then she would either approve or reject it. Or another option, which is an option, you don't have to do this step, is request service manager approval. So if she needs another set of eyes to look at it, subject matter expert. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this as Barb. And now the article is published. That was the last step.
So, can anyone but the author make a change, like if we were approving another table,
Yes, you can make the update from the form. That's right, right?
at what stage? Well, so, like any page, so one is published and not during the, yes.
In review stage, so if I were still Jim and I were on the approval page, you can make updates from there, correct, to the article. While
Yeah,
it's
she
in
didn't
review.
really kind of show you, but not like edit or do enough stuff. Edit. They keep you on the form. Update. Wait. Yes, but update is the one that takes you back to the
I see that three kind of approvals, they change my knowledge, my request approval. Is there any way to create a like that? Because we feel like to say search, and but for anybody stepping into the office in the morning, having some sort of overview of how many things each category go through, is it possible?
You can.
Pinpoint each and
I would have to see if you can actually. Okay, so if you go back into, let me actually go back to myself.
so my approval looks like that, right? And then there is also so many categories that you may need to recognize.
You can customize your home pages to. So this is my ITIL homepage, and you can create several, and that's it functions as a dashboard. But I would have to see if you can, if there's an option to add.
Yeah, right.
There is? Oh, okay.
There are two gadgets. One
Oh,
is
okay.
basically my group source, so every active thing in my group queue that is assigned, and the other one is my active work. So the gadget basically says, here's all the stuff that's currently assigned to you.
Oh, yeah.
Approval, incidents, changes, requests, whatever. Yeah,
Right.
Is this where you would do that from the?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I have to look up which one.
Okay.
What to follow up. I'll do that.
Yeah, lightsaber.
Yeah, so you can customize your homepage, and you would go up to this plus sign over here and search for the gauge or the gadget that you want to do, and you can add it to any part of the homepage. And then you can move these around. Oh, here's my group work. You can move them around, make it look how you want it to look. Okay, there was something else I was going to show you that came up yesterday. If you, let me find an article in draft. So I can go to my draft module. I might not have it. Okay. If I accidentally submit this and I want to take it back, I wasn't ready to submit it for approval, which is a good question we had yesterday. Let me fill in the IT communications. And actually, okay, save. So I saved it, and now I publish it, so it's supposed to go to the next level of approvers. But I didn't mean to do that, so let me go to that one that I just did, which is here. So I just opened it back up from my review module, and I want to take it back. I want it to be to remove it. I can just go to this retire button, and it's in review. It went from review to completely removing it. So now I can go to my retired module. This is actually a good. Oh, only the knowledge manager can see retired articles. But it's gone from my draft and my review.
So you could either have the knowledge manager kick it back to you in draft mode, or you'd have to just recreate it.
Is that how we showed it yesterday?
Yeah, the scenario yesterday was that if somebody, if they created it and then they decided if they didn't actually need it, if they wanted to remove it, they actually retire it. It's removed it from the work,
So then the knowledge manager can they make that article active again? Can they? Are you trying to? That's something we'll have to test. Because that is.
Yeah, one thing in the slide that you had up that showed the workflow where it goes from the contributor all the way up maybe to the subject matter expert, and then it kind of kicks around there. I was curious, does it ever get back to the contributor so they can maybe add some extra? I mean, it's kind of relevant to this. Maybe they want to pull it back to draft mode so they can add something relevant that they forgot to add at some point. And it didn't seem like in that process that it ever really gets back to the contributor until it's actually published.
The author can always go in and make updates and send it back, right? Yeah.
Okay.
but I think for practice, because you're sending it through this process and then you're making edits and maybe the knowledge manager is already in there making edits, you probably want to reach out to the knowledge manager or whoever in that mess and just make sure, hey, I need to add some more details so there's not.
Okay.
Okay, there's a few other things I wanted to show you. So apart from just creating your own articles, if you were looking at other articles, let me look at other articles that are authored by different people. I went down to this all module to view all articles that I see. I'm going to go to, let's go to Okay, I want to actually go to view article. I want to see what's public facing. And from here, I can rate this as helpful. And the public will be able to do this when we have public facing knowledge articles. So they can say that this is either helpful or not. And they can also flag this article. You can flag this article if you see that there's an error or something. And then send a comment with it. And when it flags, both the author and the knowledge manager are notified, right? An article is flagged. Okay, this time. We'll talk about notifications more later. All right. So that's something important when you see a published article. You can also go to, let me go over to my knowledge homepage and go specifically into one of these knowledge bases on IT knowledge. You can view all of the articles that you can see in this knowledge base, and then also search within that knowledge base. And right now, it's listed in order of last updated, but you can search through the filter categories, and you can also change it to maybe the articles that have the most views. So this one has the most, 79. And then this is also another area where you can create a question. So a question is, I'll go ahead and pop that open. A question, anybody can post a question to a knowledge base, and anybody in that knowledge base can respond to that question. And you can also, actually let's do an example. So how do I log in to Office 365? I'm going to post that question into IT Knowledge. And anybody who has access to this knowledge base can go ahead and answer that question. You can follow a question if someone asks one, if you want to follow the responses to that. So we haven't played around with this a whole lot, but it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. And then you can view all your questions. I'm going to go back out and go into knowledge base again. You can view it over in that knowledge base if you go over here to type and you want to see just the question. That question. And other users with access to that knowledge base can vote on that question as well. Okay, does anybody have any other questions right now that we can post? Yes.
Is there like a email I guess unless someone goes in and checks if there's a question, then I guess, you know, we're expecting us to respond in some manner.
Yeah, the person who posted the question and anybody's comments gets notified, and anybody who subscribes to that question gets notified. And we had a question yesterday if you could tag someone, because it seems like a social function, but you can't tag someone. So, but that would actually be great functionality. I thought someone knew the answer to that. So, any other questions?
The approval process. Probably more. Like if I create an article, does the team get to see it while it's being approved, or do they not get to see it until?
When it's in, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it's in draft state, your group can see it in draft state. For assignment group. Yeah.
So I clicked on, you may have seen that I had an article on the top there. Just publish that was in the step. Yeah, we'll keep the search on show. That was in the So I mean, anyone could see something.
Anybody in, well, we were probably in the same assignment group, UAT 1. Anybody in your assignment group can see it in draft and review. And then once it's published, it's whoever's in the published it. It doesn't actually get different. Any other questions? Yes.
I tried clicking create new and tried making an article for that.
Oh, okay.
What sort of permission?
That's when I look to Greg. Yes.
Can we both upload articles?
Upload articles? You mean import knowledge into a knowledge base? Yes, you can. You can, right now you can do it from a Word document, and you would do it from this import button. I'm not sure if the other parameters for import. I know that we tested from Word docs.
There are other options, where there's more time for articles. We were planning on trying to add visual knowledge articles to the left for our December release when we have the otherwise. But if you have a you can import multiple there.
I should also mention that, well, a couple things that Barb is working with the comm team to create a style guide. And then technology training will be offering sessions in the near future on how to write a good knowledge article. And so those will be available. And then I believe Barb is going to be going around meeting with different knowledge contributors and working with them. Knowledge group managers? Okay. And working with them if they have any existing knowledge and working with them to put it into a knowledge base.
Repeat every question that they are.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Forgot. So the question there, well, that wasn't a question. Those were my comments. Got it. Sorry. Yes.
I have a question about permission levels. So when you showed the knowledge bases, you showed the public, UIT folks, part. How is part for example, CRT has a lot of internal documentation in one of these. We publish something to, I have a group that's my subgroup in the CRT. Is there a way to publish to like all CRT or all ITS or all AS or all, you know, I mean, how many different levels of permissions are there?
John,
Maybe.
yes, go ahead.
So we're basically pulling the attributes from LDAP. So we have the four letter department code that's, I think, 8 letters deep, I think in that 8 layers. And then we also have the affiliation code. So faculty, staff, that's not affiliate students. So you can create any number of knowledge bases and define the audience based on that. So if you just wanted to say this knowledge base is for CRC only based on this department code, you can do that. If you wanted to say this knowledge base is for school of medicine faculty only, you can do that. So as long as you have a discrete department ID and or affiliation, you can sort of build a fence around. We can define a knowledge base for that and be strict to those users based on all that.
Are there any plans to tie in with program manager at any point?
I think authority manager eventually. My understanding is that it's not going to be pushed over the roadmap, but please, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, you're correct.
So, two questions. So can we have eventually 2 approvers or more in a team going for a set of management? So the first who approves it, doesn't really matter. And the second question is, if you want to change approver or add an approver, should you just open it as you or using like self-service?
I don't know that process.
So the assignment groups in ServiceNow, which are pretty analogous to the queues in Remedy that you know today, they're basically org-based. So only CRC, for example, the CRC has got 4 subgroups, so each one of those subgroups should be a group within ServiceNow. People in those groups can be defined as a manager. So and it could be one person, it could be all of the people. That's depending on the manager's discretion of how they want to define it. Those people the people really have 2 abilities in that group. One is to add and remove people from that group, and the other one is to approve developer. So if you had 8 people in a group and 4 of them were assigned as a manager within that group, when you write the article, all 4 of those people would be saying that any one of them could then approve that to the next level. Same thing with knowledge base managers. Every knowledge base has a knowledge base manager or manager. So as you saw in this example, when we published it to the knowledge base manager, it was both Barb and Linda. Again, whoever owns that knowledge base, they can be many people. And it's basically the first one to approve it. And then, again, these are roles, not people. So technically, if you are a contributor, a group manager, and a knowledge base owner, you could basically write an article, approve an article, and publish an article as one person. Okay.
Any questions? Yeah.
I would like to send my article. I get.
Who did you send it to?
That's a good question. I think I'm in group knowledge contributors.
Well, okay, real quick, I'm going to pull up, because you're jumping ahead of us. I'm going to pull up the challenge labs where everyone's going to create an article anyway. And I'll have to come see who your approver is. Okay. So you guys could go ahead and open up your knowledge application and walk through these exercises, and please raise your hand if you have any questions or have any problems.